Good morning. I just got back from a 2-mile walk with my dogs, and it is very chilly outside. Today is our last story from our Value Tales Treasury, Stories for Growing Good People, and then I'm going to have to find another book to read to you. And today's story is about the value of humor, and it's a value tale about Will Rogers. Howdy, partners. My name's Larry. Larryette. I may look like a rope, but you can think of me as the true voice of Will Rogers, one of the most well-liked people in the whole world. He was born long ago in Oklahoma, way back before it was even a state. Will was famous for making people laugh. He listened to his good thoughts, me, and I helped him to see what was funny, especially in difficult times. This made things better for Will and for the people around him, and your good humor can help you too. How? Well, let's find out together. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Will. He was much rowdier than his 7 older sisters and spent all his time fooling around. Will loved to hang on the tail of his pony as it swam down the river. You shouldn't be playing when you've got chores to do, scolded his father. Oh dear, whatever will become of Will, worried his mother. There was nothing Will liked more than swinging his lariat, a special kind of rope that cowboys use. You can imagine that rope was me, Larry-ette. He twirled me around so fast I would make a humming sound like I was talking to him. But did he always listen to his best thoughts? No, sirree. Will, you sure know how to have fun, I whispered to him. But you have to behave yourself too. But Will wouldn't listen. Instead, one day he used me to rope the big statue in front of his school. Then he made the mistake of pulling too hard and was surprised when the statue fell over and broke into pieces. Oh no, Will said. Will's principal didn't think it was very funny, and she expelled him from school. Will's father wasn't amused either and sent him off to military school to learn discipline. It was a pretty silly thing for me to do, Larry, Will admitted. He was embarrassed and decided to try harder. There were lots of strict rules at Will's new school, but Will made the best of it by seeing the funny side of things. He discovered that he loved speaking and making up jokes to entertain other students. You've got a real talent for making people laugh, I whispered to Will. Yours was the best speech in the whole class. Do you enjoy it when you can make someone laugh? As much as Will liked speaking in front of his classmates, he had a hard time studying. One day he decided to quit school and run away. This doesn't seem like such a good idea, Will, I whispered. But Will was determined to become a real cowboy. He used me to practice his roping day and night, and he created jokes that made even the cows laugh. As fun as life was on the ranch, Will worried about his future. What's to become of me, Larry? He asked. You've got the gift of humor, Will, I told him. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. Will listened to himself, then smiled and began to think more about what he would do. When he was older, Will went to the city. He decided to get up on stage to do his rope tricks and tell jokes. But Will did it in a way that no one else has ever done. He did it on a horse. But the stage was so slick that the horse kept slipping. People thought it was pretty funny, but Will realized he could hurt his horse that way, so he decided to do the act all by himself. What do you think Will did? During the show, Will made a mistake and got himself all tangled up in his rope. At first, he was embarrassed when people began to laugh at him. I look like a fool, Larry, he said to me. Use your sense of humor, I whispered back. Make them laugh with you, not at you. You can begin by laughing at yourself. Will thought quickly and said to the crowd, a rope ain't so bad to get tangled up in, as long as it isn't around your neck. Then the crowd really started laughing. They loved that Will could poke fun at himself. From that point on, people started coming from all over to see the cowboy who had such a good sense of humor. Will became so famous that even Woodrow Wilson, the President of the United States, came to see him perform. Will was worried. Uh-oh, Larry, I've got jokes about the president in my act. What if he doesn't have a sense of humor about himself? I assured him, you never tell jokes in a mean way. Just do your act. The president is a big enough man to be able to laugh at himself. And sure enough, no one laughed louder than President Wilson. Do you feel good when you were able to laugh at yourself? Soon everyone wanted to hear more of Will Rogers' humor and to know what he thought about the things that were happening in the world. Will played the biggest theaters in New York. He made the most successful movies in Hollywood. He wrote columns that appeared in newspapers across the country, and he talked to many people through his radio show. Will Rogers had become the most famous man in America because he made people laugh and think. Well, I sure didn't expect all this to happen, Larry, he said. Why not, Will, I replied. You've developed your sense of humor, and now you're sharing it with everyone. Everyone liked Will, and Will liked everyone. Because he saw the funny side of things, he helped others to see it too. He was famous for saying, I never met a man I didn't like. Will tried hard to understand other people. It's great to be great, he would say, but it's greater to be human. Will Rogers' sense of humor not only made other people happy, it made Will much happier as well. Today, Will's work is carried on thanks to the work of the Will Rogers Institute, founded after Will's death. It does all kinds of important research and helps educate people about health and fitness. Because Will was involved in the movie business, the Institute raises much of its money in movie theaters. Now, as our story ends, you might want to think about yourself. Could using your sense of humor help you too? What you may want to do in your own life, of course, may be different from what Will Rogers did. But whatever you choose, you may discover that when you use your sense of humor in big and small ways, you can be happier too, just like our good friend Will Rogers. Here's our facts. William Penn Adair Rogers, the youngest of 8 children, was born on November 4th, 1879, in his parents' ranch house in what was the Indian Territory that is now the state of Oklahoma. His father, Clem, was 1/8 Cherokee, and his mother, Mary, was 1/4 Cherokee. Even the name of the state where he was born, Oklahoma, was derived from American Indian words. Okla means red, and Homa means people. Will later said, my ancestors didn't come over on the Mayflower, they met the boat. Will's mother died when he was only 10 years old, and it was a great loss to Will, who missed her gentle manner, sense of humor, love of music, and easy way with people. Some of the strongest traits inherited by her son. The fun-loving son of a prosperous father, Will had every chance for a good education. But as bright as he was, Will wasn't interested in any of the many different schools he attended. Will Rogers always spoke with a distinct Western drawl and a total disregard for proper English. When Will is quoted in this book, his words are paraphrased into language that most people feel is more appropriate for today's children to learn. Will's wife Betty tried to encourage him to speak properly, but Will always felt that his down-home, honest drawl was at least partially responsible for his unique success. More than anything else, though, it was Will's sense of humor that helped him succeed as a philosopher, columnist, movie star, radio personality, philanthropist, and human being. Will loved to travel, and he was a great promoter of 2 new modes of transportation, the automobile and the airplane. His friends included Harry Ford, who presented Will with the first Model A car. He was friends with most of the leading aviators of his time, including Billy Mitchell, Charles Lindbergh, and Wiley Post. Will's life ended in 1935 on a flight around the world with Wiley Post. Their plane crashed in desolate Point Barrow, Alaska. The entire world mourned Will's death. It was very risky to fly in those days. The airplane was just being developed. But Will had always been one to take risks. He once gave a friend the advice, go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. Will also took a chance when he poked fun at hypocrisy, smugness, and greed, even if they occurred in the most famous and important people. He did so with a good sense of humor, however, and people from every level of society loved him for it. It was Will himself who said, you can judge a man's greatness by how much he is missed. Well, I hope you liked all of our stories from this book. I'm sorry there was so much noise in the background today. My dog is barking and my son is going in and outside and Alexa thinks I'm talking to her. Oh, there she goes again. And I hope to see you all tomorrow on Zoom and you'll be ready with a show and tell. I have my show and tell ready and I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye.